Hey, this is Matt. You're watching mtwTV. Today we're going to go over an install of the ThunderMax tuning system for the newer fuel-injected motorcycles. We have a fuel-injected dyno here. Just did a basic stage 1 setup like most people do. Added a set of pipes, open element air filter, and you always have all different kinds of choices of what you're going to do for tuning at that point with the fuel-injected bikes. Power Commander, the Daytona Twin Tech setup. This customer actually chose to use the ThunderMax. ThunderMax is actually a replacement ECM. The Harley ECM comes out of the bike, this one goes in. Then from there you can tune it the way you want, set it up for whatever setup your engine happens to have. And then the nice thing about the ThunderMax, you add their O2 sensors to your exhaust system, hook this into their ACM, and it's an auto-tune system from there. So any changes you may do, or different riding conditions, different areas of the country that you're riding in, this bike will adapt to them. So like I say, we'll go through step by step here a little bit with you, show you how these things set up, go in, and just give you a breakdown on it. Bike's already partly pulled off. I've pulled the seat off, I've popped the gas tank loose, and raised it up. I've got the main power fuse and ECM fuse out of it, and we'll go from there. Okay, first part of this, your ECM on the Dynaglides is located in this little caddy right here. What we'll have to do is to get into it, it's actually bolted in from in here from the underside, so the caddy will actually have to come loose and be pulled out. As I said, I've already pulled the main power fuse and the ECM fuse out of the system, so we don't have any power. Next thing we're going to do, the coil has to come off. Okay, after the coil's off, you're going to need to remove these two bolts here to free the caddy up. Okay, now that you've got it loose, next thing, unplug the main harness from the ECM. There's a release underneath the plug here. Squeeze it, work the harness loose. You've got it. Slide your diagnostic port out of the way. Okay, now that the caddy's loose, you can slide it out. You have to work some of your wiring around to get it out to where you can work on it. And there's two bolts, one right in here and one farther back, that need to be removed so that you can get the ECM out of it. Those two bolts out, stock ECM slides right out. Okay, with the ThunderMax, we order ours direct from zippers. So the nice thing about that, we can call them with the setup that it's going in. They go ahead and pre-map it for us. But down the road, if we need to change the map, or if it's a bike that we haven't really decided what we want to do yet, and we ordered the tuner in advance, there's a USB port on top of it here for tuning. Now the problem with that is that when it's inside of this electronics caddy, you can't get to the USB ports. Zippers address that issue by supplying this little plug here. You take the ECM plug apart, you install this into a couple of numbered slots, and it gives you a USB port, a remote USB port then to use. So what we'll do is we'll pop the ECM plug apart and install it. First thing you'll have to do is cut the zip tie loose. Once the tie is loose, the ECM plug is held together with these at these points. This is where the wiring goes into the back of the ECM plug. Now, to remove the pins, you'll need to remove the clear lock on this side. Push it in right there, releases it. Push it in right there. Perhaps there, and it's released. Referring to the instructions, there will be 2 ports in the plug, port number 16 and port number 32, that are not used at the factory. On the back side here, in very small numbers, is the print for it. So, over this side, one side is numbered 1 through 18, the other side is numbered 18 through 36. Right there's number 16. There's the blue pin that is used to plug the hole. There's a lot of wires crammed into this little package, so it takes a little bit to wiggle your way around. There's the pin number 16. So into that hole, I insert the white wire. White wire on the unit is right here. Okay, once you've got all your pins replaced, go back through your plug, just make sure none of them have slipped out or anything, they're all still in place. Replace your clear lock. This has a right and wrong way to go on. I may be putting it on the wrong way. Nope, had it right the first time. If it doesn't go on, don't force it. Check over, make sure you don't have a pin out of place, because that's usually what's holding it. If there's a pin that's a little loose, a little out of place, that might be the one that's causing the problem. There, and we're on. Locked in, on, good to go. This wire, the ground that you pulled out of the plug, they supply a piece of heat shrink. Just put it over top of it, and that way it's not grounding itself out anywhere. Okay, once you've got everything done, you can tuck your wires out of the way. Bring this one out the back like the original ones do. Tuck everything back in nice and neat. Just be careful, don't pinch. The wires used on the USB connection are very small. Just be careful with them that you don't pinch or break one of them. A little concerned about that one right there. There. And just snap your connector back together. Everything's snapped back together. The connections are good. Use one of the supplied zip ties. Comes with the kit. Look tight. Okay, we're now ready to actually install the ECM. This is the plug that runs to your O2 sensors. That's where the ThunderMax gets all its information so that it can do its auto tune from there. There's a logo stamped on top of the plug that says ThunderMax. that side goes up. We apply a little dielectric grease to the plug. Don't get crazy with it, just a little bit, it's all it needs. Insert the plug into the ThunderMax, give it a little wiggle, it'll seat in there, and then tighten the screws up. Okay, normally this is up. For this installation on these dynas, bottom up. As you feed it through, start feeding your O2 sensor lines through the electronics caddy. Work them up there so you have some room to work. Feed the second one through. Get them up out of your way. Slide the ThunderMax in, it's in place. At this point, it's just a reversal of your removal. Okay, we have the electronics caddy back in place. As you're putting it back in, make sure you feed your oxygen sensor plugs through. They're a pretty big plug, so you want to get them through while this is still loose so you have plenty of room. The rear one, you're actually going to want to feed the plug from the sensor itself into this area. The front one, you're going to need to feed out of this area and up through the frame rail here. It then connects here, and it'll tuck up in this area here. We'll put a couple of zip ties on that and get it up out of the way. The gas tank actually has an indentation in here where there's enough room for it to sit. Clean up your zip ties. And lower your gas tank down, make sure you got plenty of clearance now. Everything's clear right there. You're good to put your gas tank back together. Okay, we've got the ThunderMax in. O2 sensors are hooked up. We cleaned up all the wiring, got everything tucked away nice and neat. Gas tank's back on. Fuel line's hooked up. Reinstalled the ECM fuse and the main fuse on the system. So now there's just a couple of setup steps that we need to do. First thing, even though we did get the ThunderMax pre-programmed, there's a few steps that we have to do with the computer. One big thing to remember is when you install the software on this on your computer for your ThunderMax, be someplace that has a internet connection, because as soon as it installs, it's going to look for updates, and most likely it's going to need to update before it can set everything up. Okay, with this one, I said it's already mapped, so we don't have to pick a map for it. Bike's on, we're connected, we have the ThunderMax software running. So one quick thing we need to do, we need to go to module configuration, down to module service data, and it's retrieving all the information from the module that we installed. Okay, we've got it open now. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to edit the VIN number of the module. So that way this syncs the ECM with this particular bike. So what we'll do is just we'll type the VIN number as it's read off of the frame into the computer and into the information. Okay, we've got everything set up on the computer now. We've entered the VIN. As I said, the map has already been preset by zippers. So the next thing to do is initialize the system. We'll cycle the kill switch on and off a couple of times. This lets it learn the home position of the idle area control. So cycle it on. It's on for 30 seconds, off for 30 seconds, on for 30 seconds, off for 30 seconds, back on for 30 seconds, and then start the bike. Actually let it do it, use a stopwatch or whatever. I'm using my phone with the timer on it. Let it actually do this a few times, and so that it can learn its position. Okay, we've been through our cycle. We've cycled the kill switch on and off, 30-second intervals 3 times now. So now it's time to fire it up. Okay, you want to cycle it a couple times, starting it up, letting it run for about 15 seconds, killing the engine just to let it warm up and get a feel for it. Okay, we've got everything together, we're running, good to go. I just wanted to show you one more feature of the ThunderMax and the software is the monitoring setup. Just by clicking the monitor button on there while your bike is hooked up to the laptop, it'll monitor all the functions of the bike. Start it up here. And that's just one of the other features of the ThunderMax system. So, hope the video was informative. So, really good product. We use it a good bit. The service with it, tech support is really great. The guys at Zippers really know their business when you get a hold of them about anything on this. So, once again, just like to thank you for checking out mtwTV, and we'll see you next time.